Start the timer.
Started.
Welcome back to our 777 series.
777.
777
series.
Our 7 most memorable location independent experiences over the last 7 years in the next 7 days.
Yeah. One coming out each day of the Paradise Pack launch.
One episode. We're keeping ourselves to a time, which we don't usually do. Doing it here, 15 minutes. And this is part 3. This is our 5th most memorable experience over the last 7 years. We're counting down to our number 1, obviously. And if you listen to last episode, we talked about our very first Paradise Pack launch. And you should go check that out because it's pretty interesting how it came about. Today, we're going to be talking about year number 5 because this time we got a little more exotic.
And I think by year 5, it's kind of a seamless machine that you guys have really done a lot of work over each year. It kind of gets bigger, better. I feel like you're more prepared each year. So for year 5, we were thinking in advance, like, let's do this launch somewhere really cool. And let's try to do it in person with Jason because every year you guys are always in different spots. Well, actually, one time you launched it from Colorado together, which, I guess
year
is cool.
2, we did it together in Colorado.
That's
but
true, I
other
forgot.
than that, it has always been him somewhere else. Usually me
Nor-
in Philadelphia
yeah.
and him in Norway, in our respective homes, because especially now with families and things like that, it wasn't as easy to meet up. But we thought, all right, this is year 5. We've been doing this for a while. We're going to get really, really situated and structured beforehand so that we can go somewhere in the world, somewhere cool, and actually show off this idea of location independence, because it doesn't mean you have to be somewhere cool in the world, right? We talk about location independence. We talked about the difference between a digital nomad and being location independent. It's you get to choose where you want to be. You don't always have to be traveling. But we thought, what better way to highlight how awesome location independence is than us doing this huge project, our biggest project of the year, together somewhere totally unique and different. And so we started coming up with a bunch of ideas, but really it boiled down to the fact we wanted to be somewhere warm.
Yeah.
And we wanted it to hopefully be near a beach or on an island.
Right.
And that led us to Mallorca.
Yes. And we had never been to Mallorca. I don't think Jason
had never been to Mallorca
had ever been
either.
there. And, he wanted to be a little bit close to Norway because his wife at the time was 7.5 or almost 8 months pregnant. So if anything were to happen, he wanted to be able to hop home very quickly.
Direct flight, under 3 hours, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so we brought Whit with us, and that was his first international trip. We went to Hungary first, went to Budapest, and then we met Jason in Mallorca, and he came with his little girl, Ellie, and we just kind of had, like a family experience, a family travel experience.
So I think this would have been memorable no matter what, because here we are, we're location independent, and we're saying, all right, we can launch this from anywhere. So let's pick somewhere really, really cool. And that's going to be an island that we've never been to that's way cooler than Philadelphia or Norway, right?
Right.
At least for this idea of having like an exotic experience. So that's really cool. That would have been memorable no matter what. It was overly memorable because we also wanted to make it as easy as possible, because even though we had done a lot of work previously, we're like, there's going to be stuff to do.
Right.
We have our little guy who's 7 months old. Ellie,
At the time.
Jason's little girl, was
Just 2.
Just 2, and we're like, what can we do?
We didn't bring a nanny or a family member. So, Jason and Trav are going to be having some time to work. I'm the one there with the kids, and, I can easily handle 2 kids, but we don't want to have to be thinking about meals and driving somewhere to go out to dinner, all these things. So Jason was like, well, I think we should stay at a family resort.
Family resort. Now, if you guys listen to his podcast and you listen to our podcast, you know that we are independent travelers. Almost all the time that we travel, we're kind of blazing our own path. We're not going with groups. We're not staying at all-inclusives. We're like finding a place we want to go, getting an Airbnb or a hotel or a hostel, and doing all the research and everything ourselves. We're exploring.
And there's nothing wrong with an all-inclusive resort. We did that on our honeymoon. It was amazing. It was super fun. But we've never done one that was so family-centric before. And, especially being in Mallorca, you have a lot of Europeans coming there on these family vacations. So it's a lot of families.
So the place we stayed was actually really neat. It was not on the beach, but it was close to the beach, easy walking distance, like a 5 to 10 minute walk to the beach, and all that's great. They also had like 4 or 5 pools. So we're like, well, this is really cool.
Yeah.
Everyone had their own little like villa, like either upstairs, like an apartment. So you weren't in just a hotel room; you had an apartment. But it was a bit crazy because you're there and everyone's taking holiday, and some people are coming from Britain. You know, it's 2-hour flight or something like
Less
that.
than maybe.
You know, you can go. It's really, really cheap to go. A lot of times, you can hop on these flights. So everyone's coming there just to like relax and go crazy for a couple of days. We're not used to this. We're used to doing our own thing. So the big, most memorable experiences happen usually around mealtime. So it's all well, it can be all inclusive. We had it where we could get breakfast,
board, I guess it was
breakfast
called.
Breakfast and dinner, right? And breakfast was okay, a little mild. Dinner
It was just insane.
was mayhem.
It was insane because some resorts have maybe a few different restaurants, but this particular resort for dinner had just one huge restaurant where it was cafeteria style. And I mean, the food was good. It was very good food.
Very, very good.
However, the amount of people all eating together in this open space with children was mayhem.
So you're in a cafeteria. You're essentially in a cafeteria, and you're in this
A really nice cafeteria.
with hundreds of people, all with kids, because you're at a family resort. So of course they all have kids, and so you're just. It made so anxious. Everyone's so anxious because you know they're going to keep bringing out more food, but there's people everywhere. I mean, dishes are breaking everywhere. Every 5 seconds.
And, you know, we have one 7-month-old. So there's nothing wrong with this. I mean, this is normal. This is fun. Families do this. But for us having just like a little 7-month-old who just kind of sits there in his high chair and, you know, you spoon a little food in, it was such a shock to us. Because, I mean, now Whit's a toddler and he runs around and life is great. Our house feels like that cafeteria all the time now.
Sure. But at
the time, it was just such an experience.
It was such an experience. We were not used to having so many kids around and so many people and it being so loud. And like I said, dishes breaking and kids running up to the ice cream machine. And it was crazy. Now, during the day, you know, there was enough pools that everyone was spread out.
And they had really great pools for the kids so that, you know, we could all come there. Trav and Jason could pop into the pool when they weren't working, which is really fun. That was the whole point of launching the Paradise Pack and being at this resort because Jason and Trav could enjoy the resort. And then when they had to do work, I mean, they could do it by the pool or they could do it from our room's like patio and see the pool. I mean, so it was really, really cool, but it was just something different than we'd ever done before.
Very, very different than what we were used to. And I would say that beyond mealtime, the other memorable parts of this were the fact, and there was a few too that I want to sprinkle in here because it was pretty awesome. We did a live stream. So during the Paradise Pack, we always do a live stream. It's like 5 or 6 hours where we bring on the people who are contributing and we do a long 5 to 6 hour constant streaming event where every half hour a new person comes on and we chat with them and people ask questions. It's awesome. Well, this time, of course, we were doing it and we're doing it outside on our patio with like the pool and the playground right behind us. So like we're outside and the sun's beating down on us. It's awesome. But of course, all these people are walking by thinking,
at the resort.
What are these dudes doing holding microphones? We had it like jacked up, like the computer was on a box on a table. And, you know, we're talking into the computer for 6 hours. People either thought we were really awesome or really, really crazy or both. So we're doing this and people are walking by and they're talking and like giving us bunny ears. So like that was just funny because we were doing it. Typically we do it like I'd be in my little office and Jay would be in his office. It was fun to do it together, but it was certainly like out in the wild we did it.
Maybe sometime we'll launch from like a villa on the ocean with our own private chef or something so that you don't have to deal with the crazies.
Yeah, we'll biggie size our thing a little bit.
Year
the
10.
Other really neat part of this, though, and memorable part was when we decided then to get off the family resort. So we did the launch of the Paradise Pack over those days that we were at the family resort because we actually ended up staying at the family resort for like 10 days.
You know, us being like this couple who's like, oh, you know, our kid's just like this quiet little 7-month-old and this resort's a little intense. And, you know, then we ended up extending our stay because it was so convenient and so comfortable and it was really nice. Like the rooms in the resort itself were very nice. So even though we were planning to only spend 7 days, we actually extended I think 3 or 4 more nights, and we did decide to get off the resort and kind of explore. That was another thing. The area right around the resort, if you weren't going to the beach, the little town was like not that cool, and there weren't very many cool restaurants. But
There were a lot
Alcudia,
of British pubs, though, because
Yes.
that's a lot of Brits come to Mallorca
but you don't go to
for the
Mallorca
weekend.
to eat at a British pub. So we
I'm
were
not
like, we
trying to
want
eat
to
fish and
find,
chips.
some really nice Spanish food. So even the town of Alcudia was a quick walk if you go to the beach and you walk along this sidewalk that's right next to the beach. And we didn't do that the first couple of nights, but then when we finally did, we were like, okay, well, we don't always have to eat dinner in the cafeteria, although that's convenient. We can go into Alcudia, and then we took a road trip and we found all these other beaches, and we just fell in love with this beautiful, beautiful island, which I would happily go back anytime.
I think to me, one of the memorable parts of that was once the Paradise Pack was over, it was really cool to launch from somewhere that was super unique like that. But once the Paradise Pack was over, what was really nice, and this is kind of like when you work for yourself and you have location independence and how great it can be, is when it's over, like you spend all this time working, it was nice to actually say, all right, I'm going to take 3 days. I'm not going to be near my computer at all. Not going to do anything like that. I'm just going to go explore. And so we took 3 days and we went all the way down the west coast of Mallorca. We found these incredible beaches. And so that was a neat little memorable part of Vocation Independence of working really hard in a chunk to get a project done. And then right after it was done saying, all right, I'm going to mellow out and take a few days. And, I think personally, I work very well that way. I think a lot of people would work really well that way if they were given that opportunity. But sometimes with companies and other jobs, people don't realize the value in working hard towards a goal and then saying, all right, let me step back a little bit and give myself a break. I prefer that method of work rather than just saying, oh, I'm going to work 8 hours a day, every day,
Right.
Kind of consistently. I'd rather say, let me go towards something. The number of hours don't matter, but let me go towards something and then let me step back and enjoy it. So kind of batching the work and then getting to travel. And we got to do all of that when we were in Mallorca for the Paradise Pack. All that and as much ice cream as you could eat.
That's true.
As much desserts as you could eat.
Because it's all inclusive, so
All
you
inclusive.
just kept going back
So
and
I
back.
got a little fat in Mallorca. But definitely a super memorable time when it came for us, that we're never going to forget because we set out to do it somewhere unique and we pulled it off. And it worked really, really, really well. And on top of that, we got to have our first real family resort experience, one that I don't want to say we won't do again because
I think we would probably do it again. But it also just goes to show you that when we talked about our number 7 experience when we were in Myanmar and how we were still at that point in time where we're like, okay, well, we're traveling and we're working, but it wasn't organized work. And we didn't know the internet wasn't going to work well in Myanmar. But that trip just feels so different as compared to the really intentional trip of having a plan, going to Mallorca to launch this huge project, the Paradise Pack, and then having some days after it's finished launching to just completely relax and not think about work because you've worked hard and it's finished. And so that's really what we strive to do all the time now with our work and travel and life balance.
Yeah, as we mentioned in our 7 Lessons podcast, if you guys listen to that, organization and structure leads to spontaneity. And so having that organization around this one, instead of just doing whatever we wanted whenever we wanted in Myanmar and feeling like completely flustered, this actually worked and worked really well. And that was one of the big lessons and one of the big differences for us over 7 years of location independence. So there you have it, launching the Paradise Pack from Mallorca, Spain, from a family Sea Breeze, the Sea Breeze,
yes,
in
family
Alcudia.
resort.
Great value, I would say.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
launching from there, that is our 5th most memorable experience over our 7 years of being location independent.
And actually, this year, we've already planned out for the Paradise Pack. In just a few days, we will be leaving for Croatia to just have a 12-day trip where it's actually a vacation. We're taking a 12-day vacation as a family, which is not always something that we intentionally do. It's kind of always like, oh, we're going to this conference and we'll do some work and then we'll have some business after. So that's going to be really fun.
Intentionality. Make sure you guys tune in. We're counting down to our number 1. So we've still got 4, 3, 2, and 1. If you haven't listened to 6 and 7, you can go do that now as well. But tomorrow we are going to talk about our first really long trip being location independent, and you are going to see we fast traveled around Europe.
It was very
quite
fast.
a bit. So check in tomorrow, or if it's already launched, you're not listening to this live, you can check it out now. That's going to be our 4th most memorable experience, and that is coming to you soon.
All right, we got in before the timer. I think that we have, oh my gosh, 5 seconds
5
left.
seconds.
Woo!
Chat with you guys later.